Meet the Breath Masters. The Breath Source is the only app where you will find the greatest breathwork facilitators from around the world in one place. Our extensive, truly unique database of breathwork videos and live classes created by our Breath Masters offers you the opportunity to learn breathwork with the best teachers in the universe. Dive into our app and become a student today.
All right, Bryan Mirabella. We're here on the Breath Source Live, and Bryan Mirabella has become a very good friend of mine. He's an angel to this world, legitimately has the best figure on the planet, and he does it all with fruits and vegetables, fruits primarily. And I mean, this guy is defying all odds. And he does it because he understands the power of the breath, the power of the mind, and he knows who he is. And so, Bryan, welcome to the Breath Source, my friend. Thank you for being on.
Thank you for that beautiful introduction, Travis. I appreciate it. I appreciate you for everything you've done for breathing in the world. What you've put together is magnificent with all these breath masters, and I'm honored to be a part of it. Thank you.
Thanks, Bryan. You're a big part of the co-creation, and you have one of the largest followings in the app, which means that your stuff works. And so I'd love to talk about that, man. So tell me what's new in your world.
I have been, I enrolled in a 12-month-long cranial nerve program. So I'm learning breathing from the brainstem and beyond. So, or not beyond, moving out into the physical world. So I have a teacher. Her name is Lois Laney. She's kind of world famous, but not to the layman people. And she has a 12-month-long program, and now I'm in this program because I want to take breathing to the world and make it simple for people, whereas sometimes it's not so simple, and I want to make it simple for everybody.
That's awesome, man. And you talked about bone breathing with her, and I don't think anybody's really heard of bone breathing. So quick rundown on that. I'd love to hear.
Well, in the Qigong world, when you inhale, you should get longer, right? I can't do it. I'm not a Qigong master, but when you inhale, I have a friend who's been Qigong for 40 years. And when he inhales, you could see his finger extend. And then you exhale. So when you breathe in, every part of your body expands. It's not just breathing through the nose and with the diaphragm. That's not breathing. Breathing is like a fish. Right. So the fish whole body breathes. Well, so do we. And when you breathe through your bone marrow, which is where your red blood cells are matured, and you mature new red blood cells in the bone marrow, you can rebuild bone tissue. So females that have had osteopenia and osteoporosis, if they can sit still for a number of minutes every single day and visualize the energy inside the bone marrow just becoming light. You're just breathing as calmly as you can, which we'll do in a little while. And when you breathe, you envision your bones expanding on the inhale and not contracting on the exhale, but getting longer on the exhale. So the spine is lifted. And when the spine is lifted, if this is my vertebra and these are my transverse processes, the nerves come out of the transverse processes, but most of us have compression. So we're compressed. So bone breathing allows the spine to do what's called decoaptation. Now the disc can get filled with water. The compression comes off the facet joints, and now the nerves that come out of the joints aren't compressed. They have flow and energy, and you receive more energy because you have less compression in your spine.
That's beautiful, man. And everything can thrive on flow and energy. So that's great. I love that. Great job. Awesome. So give us a little rundown about your journey to breath, Bryan.
Well, I got started about 6.5 years ago. It was I was at a barefoot seminar in New York City. I've been a personal trainer for 34 years in Manhattan. One of the first ones really in New York. It was very small back then in 1990. And I went to this seminar. It was a 4-day seminar on movement. So on day 3, the head of the seminar said, okay, we're going to bring out this woman. Her name's Lois Laney, and she's going to talk to us about breathing. And Travis, I went like this. Oh, I remember going, oh my God, I don't want to learn about breathing.
Oh,
I was totally not aware of it at all. And I didn't think it had any place in my life.
Yeah.
So she starts talking, and I'm like, oh, yeah, I do that. I'm like, I do it. Oh, I don't sleep well. Oh, yeah, I get up during the night to pee. I'm like, oh, boy. And I was, so I'm about to be 55, so I was 48 at the time. And I had everything wrong with me. I was told by an acupuncturist that my organs were failing because I had been an aggressive person my whole life. I wrestled for 30 straight years.
Wow.
So always stressing myself. And I was lifting weights. So it took a toll on my body. So as soon as she started talking, I said, I have to learn from her. And she was giving a workshop, a certification that next weekend in Jersey. So I said, okay, I'm enrolling in it. But it was all brain related. And I knew nothing about breathing to begin with. And now she's trying to teach me neurophysiology. And I was like, what the hell? I can't understand any of this. But I took the course. You know, you're confused, but you're confused on a higher level at least.
Yeah.
So I took that course, and now I'm in a year-long program with her, and I'm learning about how breathing begins in the brainstem on the sensory level. Because even when you and I are talking, you know, the Heart Math Institute, we do heart coherence all the time, breathing in our master's group.
Yeah.
So we know that 6 seconds before what happens in reality, your heart is already responding to the environment. And it's happening also in the brainstem. So the brainstem has all these neurological connections that if you sequence them in the right order, then you start receiving more oxygen to your brain. And that's why Patrick called his book The Oxygen Advantage. So I'm taking a little further, and I'm going into that sensory cortex, waking up that sensory cortex. So those nerves fire in sequence, have more energy. And when they have more energy, you receive more oxygen.
Oh, it's beautiful, man. And I was doing some stuff with Gary Brecka this weekend, and Gary says that where there's presence of oxygen, there's absence of disease.
Right. Right.
So
We can
cool.
also be too oxygenated, though.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
It
Too
goes both
oxygenated
ways.
and not enough carbon dioxide.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely, man. Well, cool. So I'd love to talk with you about your new program. So you have the Neuro Breath program, and this is new, right?
Yeah, it's called Neuro Breathe. So again, we're looking at the brainstem, and we're giving the brainstem the right actions. It's like when you drive a stick shift car, you don't go from first gear to fourth gear. Now, for the people who don't know about cars, it's like when a circuit goes in your house and the lights go out because there was a surge of electricity. That surge of electricity that caused the circuit breaker to go out, the way we look at it on the human level is that we've all been hit in the head at some point in life. Whether you banged your head against the door, against the drawer when you were a kid, or you fell down and hit your head, well, your brain gets smushed. The brain bounces around inside the cranium, and there are bones inside the cranium that actually come down. And if the brain gets jostled, it can hit those bones, it could bang against the side walls, and then a circuit goes. Now, we're not like a car, and we don't have a light that comes on in our brain that says low on oil, low on oil. So we know that we've all had some sort of brain trauma. So there are very specific exercises that you could do that take, each practice is 3 minutes. And if you put them all together, it takes about 12 minutes. And you could do these practices every single day. And it's like taking your finger and putting it in the wall socket, but you get good energy. So you get energized every single day by waking up the cranial nerves that are related for breathing. And that's why I call it Neuro Breathe. So we should be able to restore autonomic breathing, which is breathing functionally at rest without actually training breathing. Even though I do train breathing, and I think if we train breathing, it'll exponentially get better faster. But ideally, we already know how to breathe, right? We were
Yeah.
born breathing perfectly. So that means the brain already knows how to do it. We just have to rewire the software.
Awesome, man. I highly recommend everybody jump in on that. This is cutting edge breathwork technology that also incorporates the biology of just being human. And so Bryan is truly the best at that. And then you've got a breath strength for athletes coming up as well, right?
Yeah. So in this course, I'm going to teach athletes because athletes need markers. They like to know how they're making progress. So in this course, I'm marrying my Lois Laney brain activation exercises with my oxygen advantage. I happen to be a master instructor for the oxygen advantage. So I'm marrying the two together so athletes can have some concrete protocols that they do on a daily basis and they can track their progress. And it's really, even though it's a 4-week course, it's a 120-day routine that you do every single day for 120 days. And from day 1 to day 120, you will see remarkable improvements in your carbon dioxide tolerance, which achieves a higher oxygenated state. And for an athlete, that means delaying the onset of fatigue. And I know you know this, but I've worked with the best in the game. I hate name dropping, but Fred Warner of the San Francisco 49ers is a student of mine. Jacob Chikrin of the Ottawa Senators. Jordan Burroughs, 2012 six-time world champion wrestler, is my student. And I have quite a number. Alistair Overeem, UFC legend. So the funny thing is I didn't find these people. They came to me through Instagram just from putting out videos.
That's so great, man. And where people do get confused, and you brought this up earlier, is people think that oxygen is the most important molecule. And in my opinion, carbon dioxide is the most important molecule, because without the presence of carbon dioxide in the tissues, your blood could be 99% oxygenated and your tissues could be literally fading away. And that's where the energy derives from. And so for every milliliter of carbon dioxide we blow off, we lose 2% of cognitive capacity. And so Bryan, being the expert that he is, will teach you guys how to breathe properly to maintain optimal performance as an athlete or as a human, regardless of whether it's performance on the basketball floor, or as a runner, or as an athlete, or in the bed, wherever. All of this stuff matters. And Bryan, thank you for your mastery with that.
Yes, thank you.
All right, so coming to the end, why don't we ask Bryan? Bryan, would you lead us through something that we can take away and use on our everyday life?
Yes, I would love to.
Let's do it, baby.
I usually do this technique standing. Do you have the ability to stand?
I do, yep.
Beautiful. So the first thing I'd like to start with is a safety statement, because we've also experienced emotional trauma. So as you know, intention is the bringer of everything you want to manifest in your life. So the first thing we're going to do is issue a safety statement to ourselves and out into the universe. So repeat after me. In this moment, on May 1st, 2024,
on May 1st, 2024,
I feel safe in my body, in my house, in my state, in my country, and in the universe. I feel 100% supported by life.
I feel 100% supported by life.
Now, your feet should be to where your big toes are almost touching. That's how close I want your feet. We want your feet under your hips and the insteps under your earlobes. And that's what we call being in the columns. And now what we want to do is we want to let our hands relax. I know you're in a nice whole brain posture. I love it. So you want your arms relaxed. And now all we're going to do is notice and observe how we're breathing in the moment. So just observe how the air is entering and leaving your nose. Now, we don't breathe the air breathes us. The air moves within the nose. It doesn't move through the nose because we're like fish in the water. The air is everywhere. So we're not pulling it from outside the nostrils to inside the nostrils. When we initiate the inhale, it happens inside the nose because we're exchanging pressure from the outside to the inside. So as you breathe in, you notice the air originating inside the nose. And when you inhale, I want you to inhale horizontally, not up. There's a little imaginary button in the back of your throat that when you inhale horizontally, you immediately breathe low into your body. And I call it breathing into your back pockets, all the way down by your butt. So as soon as you initiate the inhale inside your nose and it travels horizontally, you're going to simultaneously feel the air enter down at your perineum, in between your sitting bones, near the anus. So when you inhale down. And when you inhale down, the vagus nerve stimulates the phrenic nerve to increase the size of the diaphragm. And when the size of the diaphragm is big enough, then neurologically you are in a safe space. So your inspiratory muscles will automatically contract, but on a level that you don't have to do it. You want to be breathing easy and light all the time. So as we gently inhale, now we're going to place our attention on the exhale. And we're going to allow the exhale to completely finish itself. That doesn't mean push the air. It means that when I breathe out, I let all of the excess carbon dioxide leave my nose. And what I would really like to achieve is that when I finish my exhale, there's no desire to inhale. If there's a desire to inhale right away, then you are pushing the air out without realizing it. And that's creating a tension inside your body that reciprocally forces you to breathe in a little harder. So Travis, as you stand there and you horizontally breathe in, as you exhale, very slowly let all the air leave your lungs without pushing anything out. What happens is the diaphragm returns to its resting position under the rib cage, and it literally and figuratively cradles the heart. The diaphragm is the womb for the heart. It's considered the second heart. So when you fully exhale, the diaphragm goes all the way back up to its resting position. There's a reciprocal exchange of pressure from the bottom of the diaphragm to the pelvic floor. And this is like a suctioning effect. It allows the organs to come back up. And then when the body says it's time to inhale, we initiate the breath as lightly as we can. Now, here's the other important part. You could breathe in for 3 or 4 and out for 4, 5, or 6, but that's training biofeedback and heart rate variability, which is very important. But we're not doing that right now. We're trying to restore autonomic breathing. So as soon as you inhale, the way you determine how long your inhale should be is that when you inhale and you breathe down into your butt, as the breath gets to the belly button is when you exhale. You do not allow the expansion above the belly button. That's what we call in yogic science a complete breath. So we exhale and we let the air fully leave the lungs without pushing. There should be a pausing sensation of where I don't feel the need to inhale right away. When the desire to inhale comes, we breathe in as lightly and slowly as we can, maximizing our nitric oxide potential. And when we exhale, the exhale is going to be twice as long as the inhale. And that's how we know the vagus nerve brake is being applied to our nervous system. So this is the number one way to achieve not a relaxed state, a readiness state. I want my students and myself and you, Travis, I want you to be in a ready state, but yet you're coming from a place of safety. When the lion is stalking the prey, it's not jumping around, it's in the weeds, and it's barely moving and barely breathing so the animals don't hear it. And then when it's close enough, it activates the sympathetic response. So the definition of neurological safety is stillness. And my brother, you are doing it beautifully because you have not moved a muscle. I see you breathing below your belly button. It looks like you're fully finishing every exhale, and then you're naturally allowing the air to move through you. You don't initiate the inhale, your brain stem initiates the inhale. And we can practice autonomic breathing with this very simple technique. We allow the breath to finish itself. We find the natural pause at the end of the exhale. And when we inhale ever so softly and ever so gently. And then the breath does not travel above the belly button. And that is a complete breath. How do you feel?
Blissful, baby. Totally blissful.
Beautiful.
And it is interesting because a diaphragmatic breath, oftentimes we just push the belly out, but when you actually push the diaphragm, you consciously push the diaphragm down, you actually feel it below the belly button, but in the bladder area, kind of push out. And it is different. It is absolutely different, but it has to be consciously thought through.
Yes. Yeah. And that conscious effort is a focus, which is meditation, because breathing is a moving meditation, even if you're standing still or sitting still.
Beautiful, man. Great job, Bryan.
Thank you, Travis.
You're a very calm voice to listen to, so I love that. Well, Breath Source and Bryan Mirabella Tribe, welcome to the mastery of Bryan Mirabella. Make sure you jump on, get into his courses, the Neuro Breathe course and Breathe Strength course, and everything else Bryan has. He's a true master of the art, and he loves people. He loves this planet. He loves the universe, and he is a congruent, walking, talking breath master.
You're so eloquent.
It's easy to be eloquent with you, my friend. All right, awesome. Well, guys, thank you so much. All the love. We'll see you on the next live.
Oh, we did that at the same time. That was amazing.